Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy, Riley. And I'm wearing jeans today, so... As I said yesterday, as you saw from the title, I am going to be telling you about my trip. This isn't a brag or anything, so chill. Okay, here it is. Yeah, you know the theme song, whatever. Anyway, okay. So, now, once upon a time... I'm just kidding. Okay, so here it is for real now. In case you didn't know, I went to Washington, D.C. over spring break, and, we went to quite a few places and took a lot of steps. So I'm just gonna walk you through what we did each day, and yeah, got my notes here. On Tuesday, we were up for a flight at 3:30 a.m. After that, we took the shuttle from the park and go to the airport. And then we got through security and everything and had our flight at 5:45 a.m. And once we got to Washington, D.C., actually it was like Lent the summer or whatever. It was really rainy, but it eventually got better that day. Then we took the MARC / train to the airport to Union Station, which is like a subway station, I don't know what you call it. And then we took the Union Station, the subway, to our hotel. And then I was really amazed at the subway, but people were looking at me like, what the it was just a subway. Once we got there, there were tons of cherry blossoms, and then my mom and I went to Panera for lunch, while my dad and my sister went to Chipotle for lunch. And then once we dropped off our bags at the hotel, we took an Uber to Arlington Cemetery, and she was honestly really cool. So Arlington Cemetery is a cemetery in DC where, no, I think it was actually in Virginia. Yeah, the state of Virginia. And there were tons of graves from soldiers who've died in the past, and it was just really cool to see. And we made our way around, and I saw a gravestone that actually had my name on it, so that was kind of cool. It was actually probably a last name. It wasn't a first name. So then we walked around and saw the Eternal Flame, which is to honor President Kennedy, JFK. And then we made our way around to the changing of the guard, because there needs to be a guard around the tomb of the unknown soldier. So, and that happens every hour, so I respect that.
I am Sentinel McKee of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, United States Army. Guard of Honor, Tomb of the Order. Act no. Ready. Good. Read.
Then we walked around some more, and my dad ran into an old college friend, and that was kind of a cool coincidence. And we were up higher at that point, at a higher elevation, and we saw the Pentagon from a ways back. But then other than that, that took up most of our time, and we were tired, so we went home and ate pie. I think we took around 17,000 steps. That was pretty much it. By the way, my mom did make all the collages you see. So on Wednesday, our second day our first full day in DC, we had breakfast with our senator, Al Franken, the Minnesota senator, and I don't know why he was in DC, but that was really cool. We had porridge for breakfast. I think that was his grandma's recipe, and it was actually pretty good. But on the way there, we took the subway to this Judiciary Square, and that's like an area where a lot of the homeless people live, like a shelter for men and women. But we didn't actually know this before we got off at the stop. So that was actually kind of creepy because there were people out on the streets, and I think there was this one mentally ill guy. He wouldn't hurt us, obviously, but anyway. Then after we had breakfast with the senator, we walked around, and Wednesday was basically our day to look around at the museums and stuff like that. So first we walked past the Capitol, and we were going to go inside the visitor center and areas that we could go to. But there was an incident. There was actually, it happened to be right then, and that day, that we were there. There was a lady that shot at the the Capitol, along with, she threatened a couple guards or something. So that was pretty weird to be experiencing. After that, we took a short walk through the sculpture gardens. We saw this 3D, no, it looked like a 3D house, but actually it was just an illusion. We saw this shiny metallic tree. And then after that, we made our way to the National Natural Museum of History. So that was the museum that they recorded some of the Night at the Museum stuff. A first section where there was stones, like rocks and gems. They were beautiful. I didn't get many pictures of the gems because there were so many people, but there was this one, like hundreds of carats of diamonds, this necklace. It was amazing. That would have been worth like millions. So that was really cool to see. Then we made our way to the bug section with spiders, bugs, and we held a grasshopper, me and my sister. It was called a leopard grasshopper. So then we made our way over to like the area where from the Night at the Museum movie, there was the elephant, the lion, and the dinosaur. Then we saw the live world population, which I don't think it's right because it says 7 billion something, but I think it should be 7 trillion something. So unless I was reading that wrong, that's probably not right. Anyway. Then, as we made our way out, we saw this monkey to human type thing. Monkey to human, just, because like, back in the day were, you know. After that, we went to another museum called the National Museum of American History. There were 3 levels in this building. We had to go down a level, then the main level, then the 3rd level. On the 3rd level, there wasn't much because they're still in the process of making. But there, we saw some of the history of money. We saw some different light bulbs. We saw some coffee and some chips, like the old tops that used to come on coffee mugs and the old Pringles can. Then we saw some different boats, some different trains, old motorcycles and old cars. Then we saw some of the first tech, like the old Mac, and we saw a record player and Hollywood Land. If you didn't know, we studied that last year, but in school, but it did used to say Hollywood Land. I forgot what happened to the land part. I think it got knocked down. But then we did this like Xbox Connect type thing. Or it wasn't the Xbox. It was like you could take a picture, you could pick your clothes or whatever, and then you could dance. And my sister tried to dab doing it. After that, we saw the Washington statue. And then this was probably the coolest part. We saw some of the really old American history, like Dorothy's slippers from The Wizard of Oz, the invention of the cross, the invention of the poster, the invention of the microphone, the invention of Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street, the invention of Apple II computer, and the video camera that captured some of the footage from the first plane hitting the Twin Towers on 9/11. After that, we made our way over to the other side on the 2nd level, I'm pretty sure. And There was the Greensboro lunch counter sit-in. We learned about that last year, but that was really cool to see the original counter. After that, there was a section for African Americans, Japanese Americans, and American Indians. There was just a bunch of history about that. And there was also some American wars that we went through, like the Civil War and the World Wars and stuff like that. After that, we saw the Berlin Wall, a chunk of it, and that was pretty interesting. Then there was a section on the World Trade Center and Osama bin Laden. Yeah, I think there was a chunk of it. No, there wasn't. That came later. Anyway, then on the main level, the last thing we saw was the Star Spangled Banner section, which I'm pretty sure this lady got paid a lot to make a replica of the flag back then, but they said no photography in there, so sorry for no picture of that, but this is what the outside looked like of the exhibit. And then we made our way to Trump Hotel. Actually, we didn't plan this, but we saw it along the way. It's just called Trump Hotel, so that was kind of cool to see. And then for dinner, we went to Uncle Julio's, which is a Mexican restaurant, and I didn't get pictures of that, but it was pretty good. I got fish tacos for the first time, and I tried one of my mom's fajitas. It was pretty good. Oh, I forgot to mention, on Wednesday, we did go to the National Air and Space Museum, and I got this little space popper. It's like a regular popper. You just put it inside out, spin it, drop it, and it pops like that. So that was like $5, but it has a little like rocket on the front there. And I'm not gonna tell you much about the National Air and Space Museum because I might use some content for the Planet Boys, so stay tuned, I guess. I don't know when we're doing the next episode. It's probably coming up on 2 or 3 months now, so. Anyway, oh, I forgot. Wednesday we took 22,000 steps, so our feet were hurting badly that day. But it gets worse. The reason why we took so many steps each day is because we didn't have a rental car and had to walk everywhere. Also, here's some more of the first tag.
I had a phone like that too.
It's the iPhone 3G, BlackBerry,
A Game Boy.
some Chinese thing,
I didn't
camera,
do, obviously.
first MacBook. What is that? The first iPad, the first tablet, I mean?
Maybe.
Apple, Game Boy, the brick. Nice. So that was all of Wednesday. Thursday was our Memorial Day. So we took a look at, the first thing we looked at was the Washington Memorial. Basically just a pencil thing, just a long pencil. And then we made our way over to the World War II Memorial, which is right in front of the Lincoln Memorial. But we didn't go to that next. We made our way over to the White House, but first we encountered the Dwight D. Eisenhower building. I'm not sure what that one's used for, but then we made our way to the White House, and there were, as we got closer, there were more and more Secret Service guys, and there was also a protester, I think. It wasn't about Trump, but it was about, like, Syria and stuff. I didn't pay much attention to it. Then we went all the way back over to the Lincoln Memorial, except we didn't go to the Lincoln Memorial. We went to the Vietnam War Memorial first and saw all the names along the wall. Then finally we made it to the Lincoln Memorial. Our reason for not going there first was because we just want to go in a circle, so then we don't skip things and accidentally skip over one and not mean to go to it twice. So then we made our way to the Korean War Memorial after that, which was pretty boring, honestly, but you know, it's a war and you have to respect it. And then the Martin Luther King Memorial. That was pretty cool. There were lots of cherry blossoms. Yeah, the whole time we were there were just lots of cherry blossoms. And so then after that, we went and had lunch at the Reagan Building, and we ate at a restaurant called Flamer's Charbroiled Burgers. That was really good. That was a really good burger. My dad had California burritos or something. That's what the restaurant was called. But he had a burrito. Then, since we had tickets for 3 o'clock at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, this was the ticket, we had to make it over there by 3 o'clock. So we started moving that way. We walked pretty slowly. And since we had some time left, we stopped at some Smoky Bear, like, little walk-in thing. It wasn't very interesting, but there was a little robotic Smoky Bear. And then, before you know it, we got to the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and I got this lanyard as a souvenir. It's pretty cool. Has their logo right here, both sides, little clipper, and then just bills. Yeah. And in there was really cool. They took us through the whole dealio. There was just so much to see, like how money was made and how it first started, and like the security features of it. I couldn't take any pictures throughout the tour though because they said no photography in that. But yeah, that was really cool. I have a big interest in money. So after that, there was a gift shop at the end, and there was all kinds of stuff like shredded money. There were full sheets of money. I would have got one, but they were expensive. So like a full sheet of like 32, like 8x4, a 32 sheet of just $1 bills was like, it was like double the price. That was really cool, and we didn't even think we were gonna get tickets. They were free, but you had to claim your spot. So after that, we went to the Jefferson Memorial, or the Nickel, and then we took a look at the Franklin Roosevelt Memorial, which is the dime. And that was a really big memorial there. I took lots of pictures of this one. There were just waterfalls, different quotes all over. And then after that, we took the metro back, and I think I might have saw Trump on there. I can't be sure though. And we took a total of 26,000 steps that day. Okay, so our final day is on Friday, and we took a look at a couple more museums, and this first one was called the Newseum. And our first thing we encountered was the Berlin Wall, another big chunk of it, along with the guard tower of the Berlin Wall. And it was cool to see like the east side and the west side, the differences, because I think it was the east side that kind of graffitied the wall, and the west side just did nothing at all. So after that, we saw a terrorism section, a huge terrorism section. We saw different detonators, some car bombs. We got through this 9/11 section, which kind of showed where the terrorists were sitting on the plane. So they got pretty up front seats, like in first class. So, and then we saw the passports for the hijackers, like a letter that they translated. It was like the rules. I forgot what it was, but it was really cool to see that the FBI translated it. And then there was just DC terrorism. There's a picture shown here of the Beltway snipers. Then we were walking to a second exhibit and saw a control room where they accessed all the cameras and stuff throughout the whole building. So that was kind of cool to look inside. We couldn't go in, but then there was a separate 9/11 section, and they had a chunk of the North Tower's antenna sitting right in the middle. And you can see here where there was just that little section at the top, and that's how big it was. So then we saw a chunk of the Pennsylvania plane that went down in the field. There was also this thing like you could be a news reporter, so they give you a script to say, and you would stand in front of a green screen and it would show you up on the TV. and we saw a bunch of the newspapers that were produced during 9/11. So, and this is my favorite one. Then after that, we got kind of bored of that museum because there was nothing else to see. There was a big gift shop though, that was pretty cool, and with like Trump bobbleheads and like a little FBI earpiece. I didn't take any pictures, but then we made our way to the Holocaust Museum. As we waited, because we had tickets to see the exhibit that you needed tickets for, so we had some time before we needed to get to that, so we kind of walked around the first exhibit and just kind of learned some of the first history about it. But then we went to the exhibit where we needed tickets for, and first thing we needed to do was grab an ID, and that was this thing, and inside it had the name of a Jew that died, their date of birth, and their place of birth. So that was really cool. After that, we walked around, and I think the coolest thing that we saw was the Torah. The Torah is, if you didn't know, the Jewish Bible. So, and then continuing on, we saw a bed of that kind of, I'm not sure, but I think that's what they slept on, or what the disabled slept on. So, as we made our way through that, we saw a list of cities, and yeah, a list of all the cities. I'm pretty sure those were throughout Germany and some other surrounding countries. And then on the other side, there were the names of all the Jews that died. And then there was the Shoutout artwork, and Shoutout are small Jewish towns, so that was really cool to experience all that artwork. There was so much. There was just pictures and pictures and pictures. I don't know how many, but as we walked through the rest, we saw the train car that they transported Jews in. We saw some of the symbols of the Jews that they sewed on their clothes, I'm pretty sure. Then we saw a gas chamber model. This was actually very sad to see, but hi kitty. There was also a picture of the gas chamber door there. So, and then we made our way over to the shoes and the tattoos that the Jews had. And then there's also the cremation section. Then there was a little respectful piece where they had a bunch of these candles where family members and such could light in honor for their family member that may have died during the Holocaust. And then there was a big one in the middle. And then the very last thing we saw there was the tile wall, because we're making tiles for school right now. So that was cool to see all the children that made a tile. And then we made our way home after that. We took the metro back home and back to the hotel, grabbed our bags, packed up, and started to go home. But unfortunately, a flight was delayed, and because of some people that needed to transfer from another flight over to our flight, because their flight must not have been a one-way. But I did get this souvenir Southwest plane thing, so you can check that video out in the info card up above. So you can see we did quite a bit of walking this whole trip. And then we finally made it home. Our flight was supposed to land at 10:10 p.m. and it turns out it landed at 11 p.m. So that was my trip. It took us a while to figure out the metro. This was a map of the whole metro station. So, yeah, they basically had us buy a card and put money on it. Here's what the card looked like. And we used that to transfer from station to station throughout the metro. Most of the stations were underground like a subway. And then if you do want to see my ticket, this is my ticket from the Mark, the first place, the first train that we took from there to the Union Station. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed hearing about my trip to DC. But if you didn't, then too bad. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Kitty, I need to stop the video.